Story 1. The Grim Tale of H.H. Holmes and His Murder Castle. Herman Webster Mudgett, better known by his alias H.H. Holmes, is often considered America's first serial killer. Operating in the late 19th century, Holmes's gruesome acts of murder were facilitated by a sinister structure he built in Chicago, famously dubbed the Murder Castle. Holmes was born in 1861 in New Hampshire and displayed disturbing behavior from a young age, allegedly dissecting animals and engaging in fraud. After a turbulent period of education and personal life, he moved to Chicago in 1886, where he adopted the name H.H. Holmes and began his descent into infamy. Holmes capitalized on the economic boom brought by the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago. He purchased a vacant lot and constructed a 3-story building that served as a hotel for fair visitors. However, this was no ordinary hotel. The building, later known as the Murder Castle, was a labyrinthine structure designed for killing. The Murder Castle was equipped with soundproof rooms, secret passages, trapdoors, and a specially designed gas chamber. There were also chutes that allowed Holmes to transport bodies to the basement undetected. In the basement, he had an array of macabre instruments, vats of acid, quicklime pits, and a crematorium, which he used to dispose of his victims' remains. Holmes's victims were often women who came to Chicago seeking employment, or those who were drawn by the allure of the World's Fair. He would charm them, secure their trust, and then subject them to horrific fates. Many women entered the Murder Castle, never to be seen again. Holmes's crimes were motivated by a combination of sadism and financial gain. He would kill to collect insurance money, which he obtained through elaborate schemes. In 1894, Holmes's luck began to run out. He was arrested for horse theft in Texas, which led to investigations that unraveled his web of deception. The authorities, including Detective Frank Geyer, began to uncover the extent of his atrocities. Geyer followed Holmes's trail across several states, discovering more victims along the way. The most shocking revelation came when investigators examined the Murder Castle. They were horrified by the hidden torture rooms and the evidence of Holmes's systematic killings. Despite the overwhelming evidence, Holmes remained calm and even defiant during his trial. Holmes was ultimately convicted of the murder of his associate, Benjamin Petezel, whose death was part of an insurance scam. However, it was clear that this was just one of many murders. Holmes confessed to 27 murders, though some believe the true number of his victims could be as high as 200. H.H. Holmes was executed by hanging on May 7, 1896. His death brought an end to one of the most chilling chapters in American criminal history. The Murder Castle was later destroyed by a mysterious fire, but the legend of H.H. Holmes endures, a testament to the horrifying depths of human depravity and the macabre ingenuity of a man driven by insatiable evil. Story 2. The Atrocities of Unit 731. Unit 731 was a covert biological and chemical warfare research and development unit of the Imperial Japanese Army that operated during World War II. Under the guise of a water purification unit, it committed some of the most horrifying war crimes in human history, conducting lethal human experimentation on thousands of people. Established in 1936 in Harbin, Manchuria, Unit 731 was led by General Shiro Ishii, a microbiologist and physician. Ishii was obsessed with the potential of biological warfare and convinced the Japanese military of its strategic value. The unit's official mission was to conduct research for the improvement of public health, but its true purpose was far more sinister. Unit 731's victims were primarily Chinese civilians and prisoners of war, but they also included Russians, Koreans, and even some Allied prisoners. The experiments conducted on these individuals were brutal and inhumane. Subjects were exposed to diseases such as plague, anthrax, cholera, and dysentery to study the effects and potential military applications of these pathogens. One of the most notorious experiments involved vivisection, where prisoners were dissected alive without anesthesia. This was done to study the progression of diseases without the interference of decomposition. Other horrifying procedures included frostbite testing, where prisoners' limbs were frozen and then thawed to study the effects of gangrene. Prisoners were also subjected to weapons testing, including the use of grenades, flamethrowers, and bombs. Additionally, women were forced into sexual slavery and impregnated to study the transmission of diseases from mother to fetus. The conditions in Unit 731 were appalling, with prisoners kept in unsanitary, overcrowded cells and treated as less than human. Despite the overwhelming evidence of these atrocities, Unit 731's existence remained largely unknown until after the war. In 1945, as Japan faced imminent defeat, the unit was disbanded, and the evidence of their crimes was destroyed. Many of the personnel, including Ishii, were never held accountable for their actions. In a controversial move, the United States granted immunity to many of Unit 731's members in exchange for their research data on biological warfare. This decision was made during the early stages of the Cold War, as the U.S. sought to gain an advantage over the Soviet Union in biological warfare capabilities. The true extent of Unit 731's atrocities came to light during the Khabarovsk war crime trials held by the Soviet Union in 1949. Survivors and former unit members testified about the horrors they had witnessed and committed. Despite this, the trials were largely ignored by the Western world, and many perpetrators escaped justice. The legacy of Unit 731 is a stark reminder of the capacity for human cruelty and the ethical dangers of unchecked scientific experimentation. It underscores the importance of remembering and acknowledging historical atrocities to ensure they are never repeated. The story of Unit 731 serves as a haunting testament to the depths of human depravity and the need for vigilance in the protection of human rights.